All right. Thank you very much for everyone for joining today's webinar, Alternative Learning. It's been a great pleasure having our audience who are joining in from all over the world, and we promise to have this event to be fun in terms of learning from our incredible speakers. And so I just want to urge everyone joining this live stream to listen because there's so much to learn, so much to grab, so much to learn from people who have been in this field, in this career for a lot of number of years. And we promise to give you an event where you're going to learn. And this event doesn't end just today. We have other events coming up in August, September, and October. So I'm going to introduce our moderator who will be moderating today's event. Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, over to you, Sarah.
Hello, my name is Sarah Florintra, and I will be your moderator today. Welcome to the Alternative Learning and Exploring New Education and Learning Pathways webinar. Alternative learning encompasses educational approaches that differ from traditional classroom settings, focusing on individualized learning experience tailored to student unique needs and learning styles. It often involves personalized programs, flexible scheduling, and a broader range of settings beyond the standard classroom. Today, we'll be hearing from some great speakers. The keynote speaker is Howard Berg, who is recognized as the world's fastest leader in accelerated learning techniques, and who is listed in the 1990 Guinness Book of World Records. The four panelists are Eric Thomas. He is a multi-award-winning sales and business coach and a renowned investment and tax strategy speaker. He is also known as the Apostle of Business. Lelina Molina is an entrepreneur who works with personal experiences and expertise, and she has a passion for empowering others. Darnella Thomas is program leader, coach, facilitator. She has over a decade of experience in empowering youth and adults. And then Amy Lansley is a leadership trainer, consultant, and preventer who embodies the principles of perseverance, mindfulness, and self-discipline. Today, I also have Yusuf Ramadan and Nawaki Ungo as the co-moderators for this event. The keynote speaker, Howard Berg, will be speaking about alternative learning, speed reading, and maximizing brain potential through non-traditional methods. So let me give him the floor.
Oh, okay. Are you ready for me to start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. How do I turn on my slides?
You could just share on slides.
Okay, where's the share button? Let's see. Is that...
Okay, while we're waiting for Howard Berg, you can look on the screen to read a little bit more about it. And also you can feel free to put your comments in the chat if you have any questions throughout the webinar. And the main point of today's webinar is just to increase people's awareness of alternative learning, which is very important. And as I mentioned before, it just gives an opportunity to have a broader sense of learning beyond the classroom. So not your traditional learning methods, more than that. And today we will have the opportunity to hear from some great speakers who have real world perspectives and experiences so they can share with us more about that.
Oh, okay. Can you see or hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I was pressing the button, it just didn't put me on. Okay, let me go to sharing the screen. Let's see. Stop sharing, then I'll go back to sharing. Okay. You're in the show. Okay, where's my slides? Over here. Let's click this. Okay, I'd like to turn on my slides. If you could tell me what to do. Let's see. Click on the wheel here. And okay, I don't see where to share my screen.
There should be a box that says present.
Let's see.
Right below the stage.
Let me click this, see if that works. No, that's this. That's the TV. There's no box. Let me click this. Let's see if that works. I'll keep going. Oh, there it goes. All right. We're ready. Okay. Hopefully the rest of this will be easier. Okay, here we go. Share screen. And I will go into my window. Go to the window, share. Let's see, entire screen. There's screen one. I'll go to PowerPoint and share and click. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Whoa, then let's get this thing going. First, I want to thank you for inviting me. I'm going to show you today how to double student learning using brain-based learning strategies. I'll start with a little about what I do and then a little about the students I've helped and spend the bulk of my time on practical strategies. Let's begin with, you don't have to be a superhero to learn how to learn super fast. It all started in Brooklyn, where I grew up in the projects. It wasn't a great place. It was like West Side Story without the dancing and music. I met Bernardo. He wasn't smiling and he wasn't dancing. But I found one safe place in my neighborhood was the library. Gang kids would rather be dead than caught in a library. So I read a lot and had college reading when I was 11. I went to the State University of New York, Binghamton when I was 17 to major in biology. And in the second half of my junior year, decided to also major in psychology. The dean said I wasn't smart enough. I'd have to do the 4-year psych program in 1 year, take 6 science courses, and 2 4-hour labs. Well, I did it in 1 year by learning how to read 80 pages a minute. I also scored an 800 on the graduate record exam in biology, putting me in the 99th percentile in the world. Did a program at Nightingale Conant, which made over 650,000 sales. And we double-blind tested everyone, doubled or quadrupled in 4 hours with excellent comprehension. So this was a breakthrough. So let me show you what happened when I taught this to students. First, Stephen, he looks like a little boy. This is a little boy who finished college at 16 with a 4.0, all A's, majored in economics. He went to graduate school at 18 for a master's in math, graduated at 19 with a 397 GPA, all A's, 1B. He's now a professor at Yale. This is Justin, normal kid, C student at 11, learned how to learn, finished high school at 15, got his 2-year degree at 17, bachelor's at 19, master's in English at 21, college English professor at 22. Who would have predicted an 11-year-old C student would be an English professor at 22? And finally, these youngsters, the girl in the green's brother has Down syndrome, so they decided to help find a cure. And they read books on how to make a website. They learned how to do public speaking. In their first year, they made $93,000 for Down's research. And they won the Silver Pyramid, which is the Academy Award as the best not-for-profit company in America. They beat Red Cross and Rotary. And that's what happens when you teach learning. Most schools teach content. We taught how to learn before we did any content learning. So the first thing I'm going to go over is how do you learn? This is a big challenge for many students. They don't know what they're trying to find. What if I told you all you had to learn were 5 things? Just 5 things to master any subject. What are they? Vocabulary, names, numbers, main points, and questions. About 80% of learning something for the first time is learning the new words. Those are the bolded words, the italic words, the words that look different. Words that are in tables like glossaries. Numbers are important. Numbers, dates, statistics, formula all have to be learned. Then there's the names and what did they do to get in your book? What did they accomplish? That's the third thing. The next thing is the main ideas. Look at the headings and subheadings and find the 5 big takeaways in each section. And finally, learn the answers to all the questions. We did this with a group of youngsters 11 to 15. We gave them a 30-chapter book in lifelong developmental psych, sophomore college course, and they were 11 to 15. They read the book in 1 week. 15 out of 18 took the AP test for the course, and they passed it. So in 1 week, 15 out of 18 students aged 11 to 15 passed the sophomore college course in psychology using these strategies that I just showed you. The next thing I want to talk about is memory. It's all well and good to find information, but what about remembering it? There are many ways to remember. Over 3 hours of material, and we only have 20 minutes. So I'm going to show you one method. This is great for learning lists, and it's not a technique. It's actually a strategy you're going to want to learn. So 2 caveats. When I ask you to repeat, do that. You're going to want to remember this. Second, it was developed by the ancient Greeks. They found if you take a list you know and link it to a list you're learning, it takes less time. I'm going to bet everyone watching can count to 10. And that's how we're going to learn 10 things super fast. What are the 10 things we want to remember? You want to remember pole, shoes, tricycle, car, glove, gun, dice, gate, cat, and bowling pins. I'm willing to bet right now no one remembers the whole list backwards and forwards. In just 3 minutes, you'll know the whole list effortlessly. So let's look at what this list starts with. The number 1 looks like a pole. So when I say 1, you say pole. 1.
Pole.
Say it. Say it. It's very important you
Pole.
say it. You won't learn by watching, you learn by doing. The number 2 is shoes. You wear 2 shoes. When you see 2, what do you say? Say shoes. So say it.
Shoes.
2 shoes. What was
Shoes.
1? Pole.
Pole.
3 is a tricycle. There's 3 wheels on a tricycle. What's 3?
Tricycle.
Tricycle. What was 2?
Shoes.
What was 1?
Poles.
Oh, you're getting smarter. 4 is a car. There's 4 tires on a car. What's 4? Car.
Car.
What was 2? Shoes.
Shoes.
What was 1?
Poles.
Oh, what was 3?
Tricycle.
Tricycle. Outstanding. 5 is a glove. There's 5 fingers in a glove. So what's 5?
Gloves.
Glove. What was 3?
Tricycle.
What was 1?
Pole.
Pole.
Excellent. Remember to say 6 gun. They loved them in Texas when I lived there. Cowboys have 6 guns. What's 6?
Gun.
Gun.
What was 4? 4 tires.
Cars.
Car.
What was 2? 2.
Shoe.
Shoes.
Perfect. 2 was shoes. 7 is lucky in dice. If you're in a casino, you want a 7. 7 is dice. What's 7?
Dice.
Dice.
5. What was 5? 5 fingers in a
Glove.
3.
Gloves.
Tricycle.
1.
Pole.
Perfect. We're almost done. Rhymes work. Say 8 skate. Say it. 8 skate.
8 skate.
Escape.
What's 8?
Skate.
Skate.
Skate. 6. What did they love in Texas?
6 guns.
Good. 4.
Cars.
2.
Shoes.
Perfect. 9. How many lives does a cat have? 9. So 9 is a cat. What's 9?
Cat.
7's lucky in what game? You want to get a lucky 7 in the game of?
Dice.
Good. 5. 5.
Glove.
5 fingers.
Glove.
3.
Tricycle.
1.
Pole.
Last one. You go bowling. How many pins? 10, pins in a bowling lane. What's 10?
Bowling pin.
Let's do the whole list together. What was 1?
Pole.
What was 2?
Shoe.
What was 3?
Tricycle.
What was 4?
Cars.
5.
Gloves.
6, Texas.
Guns.
Lucky 7.
Dice.
8 rhymes with have wheels on your feet. What is it? 8 skate. And what was 9? 9 lives.
Cat.
And what's 10? 10
Bowling pin.
bowling pins. Excellent. This is pegging. You just learned how to speed memorize numbers for school. Let's see how that works. Imagine you're in a room. The room is 314. How many times you go to a hotel, by the time you get into the lobby, you don't know the room number? We turn numbers into pictures. 3 is a tricycle, 1 is a pole, 4 is a car. By the way, the 0 is the 10 bowling pins. So it's tricycle, pole, car. Now make a movie. A tricycle hits a pole on a car. A tricycle hits a pole on a car. Tricycle, what number is tricycle?
3.
Hits a pole
1.
on a car.
4.
And that's how you remember 314, which happens to be pi in geometry for measuring a circle. So youngsters can use this in science, math, and history to remember dates. Adults use it to memorize room numbers, percentages, and so on. You see how easy it is? You can actually do this with a 3-year-old, and they will remember it. Now, the last thing is EQ, emotional intelligence. Most teachers will tell you the biggest challenge is students being undisciplined and lacking emotional self-control. I'm going to show you how to create unlimited energy. So when a student's taking a long exam, like a standardized test, they don't get too tired and fail to perform. How do you create a state? Then this is the most important skill of all, emotional intelligence, self-control. I'm going to show you to create unlimited energy. For this, stand up for this one thing. I can't stand or I'll be too far from my mic, but you need to stand. I want you to take and do what I'm asking you. Take your left hand, touch your right shoulder. Take your right hand, touch your left shoulder. In fact, I'm going to stop sharing so you can see me better while I'm doing this. Okay, let me get back to the screen. Okay, can you see me on the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see my, oh, there I am. Okay, left hand to right shoulder, right hand to left shoulder. Do this with me, left to right, right to left. It's like the Macarena, but without the music. Now we're going to do the same thing. Left hand to right knee, right hand to left knee. Left hand to right knee, right hand to left knee. If you're standing, both sides of your brain are doing something. Now grab your hand like I am with your thumb in your fist. Look closely. And I want you to say this like you mean it. I feel great. Yes. Do it with energy. Don't go, I feel great. If you go, I feel great, that's how you'll feel later. I feel great. Yes.
I feel great.
Excellent. We're going to do 3 sets of these at my speed, starting slowly. Shoulder taps. Right. Remember to stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you feel? I feel great. Yes. A little faster the second time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you feel? I feel great. Yes. This time as fast as you can go. Watch your knees. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you feel? I feel great. Yes. Now, you know what happens when you do this 3 times? Nothing. Now, you probably would like something, so let me show you how that works. Remember Pavlov? He rang a bell, he fed a dog. He rang a bell, he fed a dog. He rang a bell, the dog drooled. You don't want to drool. Studies show the time it takes to create a new habit is 90 days. If you do this every day with your student for 90 days, now they need a burst of energy, or you need a burst of energy. You grab your thumb and say to yourself, I feel great, yes. and your brain remembers that's how you felt because you stimulated the left or right and both together. I taught this to the U.S. Special Forces at Fort Bragg and the Royal Thai Army in Bangkok so they could stay alert and not get killed because they didn't remember what they were taught because they were too tired. So emotional intelligence, that's extremely important to being successful. And I hope that you got that from me. I'm trying to get my slides to come back up. Clicking on the plus sign. Give me a second. It's not a very fast response. One more there. Share screen. Okay, there it goes. And I will go back to my slides. Can you see my slides okay?
Not yet.
Okay, well, when you do, let me know. I'm giving you my contact information if you have questions. My email is Mr. Reader, MRREADER, one word. MR, Mr. Reader, READER, Mr. Reader, no spaces, at MSN.com. That's Microsoft Network, MSN.com. My phone number is 214-952-9150. Again, if you have questions, 214-952-9150. And I have a gift, a free book on learning. If you go to howiebook.fun, www.howiebook.fun, there is a free book just for you on how to learn anything faster and better. And there's no charge for that book. It's just for you. Okay, I'm going to shut this off. I'm going to go back to the main screen, and I am done. I had to finish in 20 minutes. I believe I got in under the wire. So I've shown you how to pick the 5 things you need to learn. I showed you how to remember information and how to create positive states. There's about 40 hours of more material, but in 20 minutes, I can't squeeze it in. But I've had students as young as 11 have college classes and ace them. I wrote my last book in 5 hours. It went #1 on Amazon. I didn't have time to go into writing and the writing skill. There's a lot of other skills we could cover, maybe in a future webinar, but I want to give time now to some of the other wonderful speakers. And I will stay here to the end off screen. So at the end, if you have questions, I'll be here and ready to answer them. And I want to again thank you for having me. I hope I've given you the information that your audience can prosper from.
Thank you so much, Howard Berg, for sharing, and thank you so much for joining this webinar. I'm sure we all feel so much greater after that presentation. And let's hear from some of the panelists. The first panelist is Eric Thomas, who will be speaking about exploring personalized learning and how students can break free from the limitations of traditional schooling system. So let me go ahead and welcome Eric Thomas to the floor.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. I am fighting, seems like losing my voice. So with the voice I do have, I do want to take opportunity to share. And my PowerPoint, are you going to facilitate that for me? I did share it with you all. So you tell me how you want me to navigate.
Yeah, we could share it here.
Thank you. Thank you. That'd be very helpful. So again, my name is Eric Thomas. I am the Chief Visionary Officer at Influence Me Institute. Over the past decade, I've helped businesses across 4 continents in 11 different industries grow their revenue by 30 to 40% in just 90 days. That's important. I know you didn't come here for a business webinar, but think about those results I just said, to grow revenue 30 to 40% in 90 days. And so today I want to share something that could change how you think about both education and money. Now, here's what's happening right now. While most schools are still teaching the same old way. A $20 billion market just opened up. And I call it personalized learning. And the smart money is already moving. Now, why am I here? What qualifies me to be here other than being a business consultant? I am the co-founder of St. Barbara Leadership Institute, SBLI is what it's called, in Gainesville, Florida. My sister and I, we started this 20 years ago in her living room on Memorial Day weekend when she said, hey, listen, I've been teaching in the school system a long time. I want to start a school. And I said, let's do it. A couple of weeks later, she calls and said, listen, meet me at 123 Main Street, Gainesville, Florida. It was an abandoned warehouse that we turned into a facility. On one side, we did after school tutoring, and we allowed children to touch instruments that they were not privy to, xylophones, cellos, and the likes. Why? Because we want to personalize learning. And that's what I want to share with you. We did that 20 years ago, right? But we're no longer using those models. That's where we started, but there's so many institutions that are still there. Here's what's happened. Here's what's happened in the last 20 years. I want you to write this down. Number one, AI got good. AI got good. 88% of students now prefer AI-powered learning tools. Number two, research proved it works. Students improved 8-9 points every year with personalized learning. Number three, the market exploded, going from 3 billion to 20 billion by 2027. But here's the problem. Most schools are still doing things like it's 1995, missing a big opportunity in education. So why am I telling you this? In my work, helping organizations grow, I've seen companies go from followers to leaders by spotting these opportunities early. I'm also an executive pastor in the largest predominantly African-American denomination in the world, known as the Grand Old Church of God in Christ. Our Bishop Emeritus, Charles Edward Blake Sr., used a 5-step plan to grow one organization from 50 to 24,000 members. The same approach works for education. And in the next 20 minutes, you'll know exactly how to either lead this market or watch competitors take over. So let's talk about the money and the proof. You've heard it said before, follow the money. In my investment work, I teach people to spot opportunities before everyone else sees them. Right now, we're seeing the education version of the early internet boom, except this time we have better data and proven results. So the numbers that matter that we need to pay attention to. Number one, immediate results. Students perform 8-9 points better in math and reading every year. The cost savings. Schools save 20 to 30% on operations while getting better results. Student success. 30% more students succeed with AI-powered learning. Low cost. Proven programs run for just $4 to $15 per student per month. The market growth from 3.2 billion in 2020 to 20 billion by 2027. What smart schools like SBLI is seeing, my education clients, other education clients report 12% better attendance, 15% fewer dropouts, and happier parents. Meanwhile, old school institutions are losing students to charter schools and private programs using this method. And why this matters beyond the money. As someone who combines business strategy with faith principles, I know that real success comes from serving others. The research backs this up. When students feel in control of their learning, feel capable, and connect with other students, they naturally do better. So here's the bigger picture. We're not just talking about better test scores. We're talking about helping kids discover their purpose and develop them into future leaders. The Charles E. Blake success story. When I studied successful growth strategies, it always brought me back to our Bishop Emeritus, Bishop Charles E. Blake. His approach, he took one organization from 50 to 24,000 members. That's a 48,000% growth. Also, regional growth, overseeing 250 organizations under his leadership. Global impact, 6.5 million members in 60 countries. The education success, programs serving thousands of kids from 50 plus schools. His vision was simple: 60,000 programs transforming communities across America. The same growth thinking works for personalized learning. Now here's the timing advantage. In my business consulting, I teach about timing opportunities. Right now, 88% of students want AI-powered learning, but most students haven't caught up. This gives early adopters 12 to 18 months to dominate before anyone else figures it out. Now, there are 9 areas within the success plan, and I want to go over those in the next 5 minutes. And why do we need all 9 areas? So in my business work, I've learned that real growth happens when you improve multiple areas at the same time. Education works the same way. You need to address 9 key areas to get breakthrough results. Area number 1, purpose and future planning. What this means, students do better when they understand why they are learning and how it connects to their future. So how do we do it? Help students discover their talents and interests, months 1 to 2. Connect student subjects to real careers, months 3 to 4. Match students with mentors in areas of interest, months 5 to 6. The goal, 85% of students achieve or are active in mentorship programs. Area number 2, teamwork and community. The facts, students engage 54% more when they work together effectively. So here are the action steps. Create small learning groups, 8 to 12 students with different skill levels. Let strong students teach struggling students in their best subjects. Start projects that help the local community. Here's the goal: 95% engagement with 50% better teamwork skills. Area number 3, money and business. The opportunity: most schools train employees, not business owners. Here's the implementation: start real student businesses as part of classes. Teach practical money management and investing. Have students solve real economic problems in their community. Here's the goal: launch 50 plus profitable student businesses. Area number 4, leadership and civic engagement. And what we need leaders who can improve systems, not just work in them. So here's how we build it: leadership training covering how organizations and government work. Student government, where they create and test real policies. Research projects on current events with practical solutions. Here's the goal: students present ideas to actual community leaders. Area number 5, health and wellness. Here's the connection: students can't excel academically if they're not healthy. So the plan: include nutrition, exercise, and mental health in all subjects. Create personal fitness and wellness plans for each student. Train students to coach their peers on health topics. Here's the goal: 100% of students in health optimization programs. Area number 6, technology and innovation. The research is 55 students confirmed that AI significantly improved student learning and engagement. Our strategic steps: use AI-powered learning that adapts to each student's pace. Create labs where students solve real-world problems. Use technology tools in every subject. The goal is 100% technology integration with student innovation projects. Area number 7, communication and influence. Now, here's why this matters. Communication skills determine success in today's economy. The development plan, simple: train students in writing, speaking, digital media, and visual communication. Set up studios for creating professional content. Teach advanced presentation and persuasion skills. And the goal is to master all communication methods. Area number 8, knowledge and critical thinking. The balanced technology should help students think better, not replace thinking. The implementation is simple. Use learning strategies or learning systems that match each student's style. Teach research skills and critical thinking. Have students create new knowledge in topics they care about. Goal, 100% personalized learning paths with original research. Last but not least, art and creativity. The value is creative thinking solves complex problems, and the arts help students express important ideas. Here's the action plan. We're doing this every day at SBLI. We include music, visual arts, drama, and writing in all subjects. Create art projects that address community issues. Use creative methods to solve academic and real-world problems. All students, here's the goal, all students develop artistic abilities and complete community impact projects. So the Blake Success Blueprint is a 5-step proven system. When I work on international growth strategies, I study what actually works. Blake's method has transformed thousands of communities and gives us a tested way to create change. Step 1, education as a foundation, success story. John Wilson led West Angeles as the Church Bishop Blake pastors. He led their education program for 20 years, growing it from simple tutoring to a program that rivals expensive private school. What actually works? Partnership with Princeton Review for professional test prep, summer math programs for middle students, bridge courses that strengthen skills during the summer, college prep that actually gets students into good schools, STEM workshops with real career connections. Wilson used the same message that made his basketball team championship teams. He took students with potential and taught them to work together for excellence. Step 2, economic development. The strategy is simple. Job training and business help that creates wealth, not dependence. Step number 3, crime prevention. Simple approach. When young people have meaningful activities, a clear path of success, crime becomes irrelevant. Character development. Wilson spent 10 years helping teenagers develop character, proving that good grades and good character work together. Step 4, family strengthening. The foundation. Strong families create strong students. Programs must include parents as partners. Step 5, financial literacy, the wealth strategy, teaching about saving, real estate, and building wealth that lasts for generations. And the proven results, under Blake's leadership, his organization gave out more scholarships than ever before, showing that good financial systems support ongoing success. So here's Blake's big idea. If every organization uses these 5 steps, we'll have 60,000 programs transforming communities across America. The application, if every school used our 9-area personalization learning plan, we have hundreds of students in programs transforming lives globally. The proof, Blake's organization operates in 60 countries with 6.5 million members, showing this approach can scale anywhere, right? What's our action plan? Get ready. Get ready. Leadership commitment from everyone, no exceptions. Money for technology and training, $2,000 to $5,000 per student. Clear communication to parents, teachers, and community, and systems that track progress. Blake steps, set up the 5 core areas in your school. Find and train community leaders and mentors. Partner with local organizations and businesses. Create ways to measure success. Step 2, start small, 4 months, 4 to 6. It's a smart approach. Begin with 20% of students, the most motivated ones. Watch closely and make changes weekly. Get feedback and improve systems regularly. Keep some traditional programs for comparison. The success targets, 8 to 9 points improvement in grades for pilot group. 85% of students in mentorship programs, 50% better teamwork and problem solving, more motivated students. Phase 3, go all in, months 7 to 12 for full implementation. Include 100% of the students. Use all 9 areas across all grades. Track everything with data and predictions. Keep improving based on monthly reviews. The victory goals: 12% better attendance, 15% fewer dropouts, 30% more student success, 100% participation in all 9 areas. Phase 4, the final phase, grow and multiply. Copy what works to other schools. Create training programs for fast growth. Partner with schools around the world. Document everything for others to use. And this is the expansion strategy. Now, in my business, I teach sales training, and I always say, get in front of the objection before it happens. So let's handle the pushback. Some will say, this is too complicated. The answer is simple. Start simple with Blake's proven steps, then build gradually. We don't have enough money. That's okay. We can't afford not to do this. Research shows 30% better results, 20 to 30% cost savings. You'll make money back in 18 to 24 months. So I'm going to say students aren't ready. Students are always ready for excellence. Start with the motivated ones. Let success inspire others. Parents won't understand. I've heard it. Use Blake's community approach. Show results, communicate clearly, and parents will support you. The money plan, the investment, upfront costs, $2,000 to $5,000 per student. Break even 18 to 24 months. Long-term lower costs, better results, stronger reputation. Operational costs, $4 to $5 per student per month once running. How do you fund it, Eric? Very simple. Government grants for education innovation, corporate partnerships and sponsorships, community fundraising. Start gradually to spread the cost. Now, I believe my time is up, so let me close. Everything is ready. The market and the research proves it works. The technology exists. Blake's model shows it can scale. The market opportunity is huge. It's your choice. Lead this market or watch competitors take it. Build an education success story or stay stuck in old methods. Your next steps are simple. Number 1, decide. Commit to leading today. 2, plan. Use this proven approach. 3, invest. Put in the resources needed. 4, start. Begin phase 1 in the next 30 days. 5, track, monitor progress, and adjust. And finally, 6, multiply. Success for maximum impact. Blake transformed 12,000 organizations worldwide. You can transform education in your area. The students are ready. The technology is here. The opportunity is now. Let's get the revolution started. Success starts today. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Eric Thomas, for sharing and teaching us how to start transforming education. Let's move on to the next panelist, Lenny Marlena. She'll be speaking about addressing how skills-based training prepares learners for rapidly evolving global workforce. So let me give her the floor.
Hi, everyone. First of all, slides. I do just want to thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this webinar. It's truly an honor to speak in a space where we're not just talking about education, but actually redefining it. Allow me just a moment just so I can get my slides up here. Let me know if you guys can see that on your end.
Yes, we can see that. We can see that.
Okay. Perfect. So let me just be clear. This isn't a story about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about redefining what it means to be educated in a world that often demands we follow one narrow path to success. But for people like me, that path wasn't just hard. It wasn't even visible. I'm still figuring things out, just like many of you, but what I do have is a story, a real one. And I believe stories make space for others to see themselves. So at 14, I was homeless. I had no stable home, no mentors, and no one mapping out my future. I didn't know what I was supposed to become at some point. I just knew I had to survive. There were no rubrics, no after-school programs, just long nights, cold mornings, and a quiet whisper inside of me that kept saying, "You're meant for more than this." So I pushed myself to get my high school diploma. I worked jobs that barely paid, and I learned how to communicate, problem solve, and show up even when everything felt heavy. At 20, I became a mom, and by 23, I was a single mom. So at that point, one night, while feeding my son with one hand and wiping my face with the other, I said something to myself that I still hold close. I don't know how yet, but I'll figure it out. Now, that moment didn't come with a diploma, but it taught me one of the most essential skills for the future: resilience. The ability to keep showing up even when nothing around you is easy. So I heard a quote while I was in that stage of my life that said, "Saying no only solidifies you never will." Now that stuck with me because as a teenager on the streets, I had every reason to say no, to quit, to doubt, to shrink, but I didn't. Saying yes to myself, even in the smallest ways, was an act of rebellion and survival. Now, I didn't start with privilege or opportunity. I started with desperation and hope. And that taught me something classrooms rarely do: that resilience isn't perfect, it's persistent. It's learning to show up even when everything tells you to walk away. Now, that's the engine behind every forward step I've taken, and that's the spark that I want to share with you all today. So, the 10% rule, teaching real-world adaptability. As I started to rebuild, I realized I was learning constantly, just not in the traditional sense. I was learning how to bounce back, how to stay calm in chaos, how to solve problems I've never seen before. Now, that kind of learning is survival. That's real world intelligence. I wasn't reading theories, I was living them. Every mistake was a lesson, a setback, and a kind of education. Now, that's where the 10% rule comes from. It's not complicated. It just means doing a little better than yesterday. Not perfect, just better. Just 10% was enough. Because most days, that's all I. It helped me earn my PACE certification in national administration. It helped me self-publish 2 books. It gave me the courage to launch a virtual assistant business from scratch, with no investors, no degree, and no safety net. And I even had the opportunity to work with someone named in the Forbes 50 under 50. But let me be clear, I didn't feel like I belonged in these spaces at all, but I just kept walking into them. And even now, I'm not finished. I'm still navigating, I'm still doubting, and I'm still stretching myself. But I've learned that employers in the world don't want just polished resumes. They want people who can adapt, who can think for themselves, who know how to pick themselves back up when things fall apart. But none of that learning came from checking traditional boxes. It came from learning in untraditional ways and from trusting that I could keep growing even if my process looked different. So we talk about closing the gap through skill-based learning and a lot about future readiness. But here's the truth. Most people are already learning. They're just not getting credit for it. The mom that's managing 4 kids in a household, she's multitasking, budgeting, negotiating, planning. That's project management. The teenager figuring out how to make money online to help their family, that's digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and problem solving. Skill-based learning closes the gap between what people do know and what they're told that they don't know. Now, I've seen programs that teach real-world skills in underserved communities, like teaching coding, graphic design, or how to run a small business. I've met people who've never stepped foot in any type of college, and they build entire brands off of things they learned from YouTube University and trial and error. Now, these aren't outliers. These are innovators. They're living proof that alternative learning works and it changes lives. When we make learning human and practical, people rise. Not instantly, not perfectly, but powerfully. And that's why I wrote the 10% rule. This is not a hustle manual. This is not about becoming a productivity machine. It's for the people who feel overwhelmed, discouraged, or stuck and need something small and honest to believe in again. And I'm still applying it to my own life every day. I don't always get it right, but it's my reminder that slow is still movement. And that effort, even when it's quiet, still counts. So let me say something we don't say enough in professional spaces. People need to see themselves in the process. We get assigned the most high-tech, well-funded program in the world, but if someone looks at it and thinks, that's not for me, they're not going to engage with it. Or worse, they'll show up, stay quiet, and leave feeling more isolated. Now, we talk about access, but it goes beyond access. I apologize. So we talk about access, but it goes beyond access. It talks about belonging. That's where it turns into something different. That's about believing you deserve to be in that room, even if you don't speak the language yet. That's why I lead with storytelling, because not everyone connects with the here's the 7 steps to crush your goals, but almost anyone can connect with let's just take the next step together. When I wrote the 10% rule, I didn't write it for overachievers. I wrote it for the people who show up even when no one expects them to. And the learners we serve today are often self-taught, self-healed, and self-funded. When we validate that kind of brilliance, we're not just educating, we're empowering. We don't need to convince learners to be extraordinary. We need to create spaces where they feel ordinary and still be enough. Maybe you haven't walked the same path I have, and maybe you've had to start over. Maybe you've doubted whether your voice even matters. Now, if that's you, I want you to know you belong here. You're not behind, you're just building differently. The goal isn't perfection. It's participation. It's showing up. It's saying, maybe I don't know everything yet, but I'm here, I'm trying, and I'm learning. Now that mindset alone can change the course of someone's entire life. Now, I'm going to close up here with a simple question. What does the future of learning need? It needs compassionate curriculum, systems that don't shame people for starting late, but celebrate them for starting at all. Learning that honors struggle and validates effort. We need learning that honors real life and gives people the tools to rise within it. This is why the 10% rule exists. Not to offer a magic solution, but to remind people that starting small is still starting. That progress, even in inches, is still progress. Because when someone truly believes they can learn, adapt, and rise, the hardest doors will eventually open. Now, thank you for sharing this time with me. If any of this felt like it welcomed your experience, I'd be honored if you carried the 10% rule with you. You can find it on Amazon, not just as a book, but as a reminder that you're learning, you're growing, and you're exactly where you need to be. Now, let's keep building one genuine step at a time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melina, for sharing your real story. I know we all learned so much from that. So let's hear from the next panelist, Darnella Thomas. She will be speaking about the importance of mentorship in nurturing students' alternative learning paths. So let me give her the floor.
Hi, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me. Hi, Sarah did a great job at introducing who I am, so I'm not going to go into all the details and specifics, as was already explained of what I'll be covering today. I want to make it short and sweet, but also to have you guys engaged. So as I go throughout my presentation, feel free at any point in time to leave any type of question, comments, or concerns right there in the drop box. I believe it might be on my right side, maybe your left, but I'm not 100% sure where it is. But if you see it and if I ask a question, please feel free to jump in at any point in time. This is not just me giving information to you, but it's also something about you, an exchange that is happening. Me giving information to you and you giving it some of the information I'm giving to you as well. So let's just get right into it. One of the things that I'll be talking about, but specifically, which is always already talked about and already shared, is I'll be going in a little bit detail about mentorship. in detail and what that looks like and how we can connect it to the overall masses in pretty much every facet or part of our lives. And so mentorship is usually used to close the gap of the educational and emotional gaps between academics, career, peers, and the community. In academics, I don't know if how many times you were in school and you saw that one person that was doing the work and you were like, man, I wanted to be more like them. Or even in your career, you could have seen somebody excelling in your career and you're like, oh, I want to be more like them. I want to either do the things that they're doing to get there. Even a peer that you know, or somebody that you admire, that's even in your friend group or maybe outside in the community. These are people that you have seen that have done and have made impacts and have made etched impacts in the back of your mind. Whether you realize it or not, you're making mental notes of the things that you had realized about them and things that they have done that eventually you want to see yourself do. So a lot of times mentorship can be directly or indirectly. A lot of it is based on what it is that we see, we hear, sometimes it's visual in all these areas, to be able, even in our touch, right, to even get down to the basics of how we communicate, how it is seen, and how we're able to apply it in every area of our lives. And so in doing that, it's a constant demonstration to us of how we can actually either be a mentor or be a mentor or be a mentee. That's correct. I believe that's correct. So a lot of times you don't realize you fall into one of the two categories. And a lot of the times in doing that, whether you're giving advice, whether you're seeking advice, a lot of times it's an exchange that is happening that allows everybody to be sharpened in the process. Because if you're on the mentorship side of giving the information and allowing somebody either to trail you, watch you, and see what or how it is or how you do things, or argue if you're on the mentee side where you're actually watching it, both are in a training process, because what you use for one person may not necessarily be what you use for the next person, and vice versa. I know throughout my life, me personally, a lot of the things that I've learned for myself has been not traditional. A lot of times you fall into things and you're like, man, how did I get here? I know for me, even in the entrepreneurship, into the mentorship journey of actually people actually think I'm worth listening to. You know, you get to a place where you're like, man, you're going to listen to what I have to say. You know, does that, comment below if you've ever been in a situation, honestly, where you have either been mentored or someone has said something to you and it's really stuck with you. Because in that process, that would made you think, okay, well, possibly like you can be a mentor, or you can be you can be a mentee in something that they said or something that they did. Is there anybody who had a situation or something that has happened that was like, oh man, I really like what they're saying, or oh man, I would really, I think that because a lot of people come to me for advice, that it will allow me to actually excel in those divisions, whether that be academically, you can be in your academic career, it could be in your regular career, it can be in your community, or in your peer-to-peer situation. I don't know if anybody commented. Sarah, please keep a watch on that. If anybody had anything to say in that.
Guys, feel free to comment.
Please feel free to comment. But if not, I will continue on. And at any point in time, at the end, or even when it comes close to question and answer, please feel free to even ask any questions in that as well. So as we continue, one of the things that I will say that for me, I was getting ready to go into a little bit of storytelling time. That's what I like to call it. When it was coming to a place where I didn't know I had a voice or impact was by accident, right? I had just not so long ago finished with my master's at the time. And I was getting ready to go into the career force. I had been in different careers, and there was a few things. I was doing contractual work at the time as well. And I never forget, my sister-in-law came to me and she was like, hey, would you consider being a part-time substitute teacher or going into that? And at the time, if you knew me, like kids were not, I didn't think kids were my calling. Like I love them, as well as I like them like close, and I love them from a distance, but I didn't necessarily know that I could have an impact on the youth of the time and what they were doing. And one of the things that I realized that when I jumped into that, I had started to substitute teach like here and there. And I was like, cool, well, I'll do this while I'm going in the time I thought I would be going back to school to get my doctorate degree. And while I was doing that, I realized that you showing up for somebody every day and you demonstrating what it is to just be disciplined and continue to focus on different things impacts those around you in ways that you wouldn't even think even you can think or imagine. And so when it began to happen in the sense of that I was showing up for these students, and they were constantly coming to me, one of the things that I realized is that it wasn't perfection, it was imperfection that allowed them to feel that they could trust me to want to even listen to what I had to say in that realm when I was substitute teaching. And what I began to realize is that the more I didn't say I knew everything, the more I came out and said, hey, I'm learning just like you are. And sometimes I'm going to make mistakes, but I sometimes will have to apologize to my class and say to them out front, I'm really sorry for what happened yesterday. I didn't mean to get mad at X, Y, and Z. And they would say to me, it's okay, Miss Thomas, or it's okay, we understand. And it's in being transparent that people, and even the kids in that class at the time, a lot of them, they said that they were not going to be able to make it. They were not going to be able to excel. I was in a charter school system. So at the time, in that it was a little more challenging to be able to give the information that was required and have them retain it, because a lot of them were below level in which they needed to achieve. But I don't think that it's ever below level by accident. I think anybody can rise to the occasion if you nurture them to allow them to grow. And that's what you're doing even when you're mentoring somebody. You're nurturing them, allowing them to grow. All of those kids that were in all of the classes that I've ever substituted, they said they were below average. All of them in my classes raised to above average and beyond. And a matter of fact, they have graduated. I know I look very young. You know what I mean? I look kind of young, but at the same time as well, these kids have actually matured throughout time, and they've become professionals today, which they also reach out to me on times of different things. And now that I look back, I'm like, man, how many years later to see how they've grown and they've become, and still reaching back at me, even in their career levels of life, to determine how they're going to continue on, or what is the best route for them to take, realizing that you can have an impact as well on people in your area of influence to continue to go forward. I also did financial literacy teaching, which I was very good at. I stumbled into that as well, where I did financial literacy as well as entrepreneurship. How I was able to affect those kids to be able to think outside of the box was allowing them to be able to imagine the impossible. Because once you imagine the impossible and work towards that, you're able to realize that things that seem so hard to reach are actually something that you can attain. And so in being able to attain that, one of the things that I had noticed, and even watching the process with that, is you have to incorporate, everybody learns, everybody understands differently. Some people are visual learners, some people you can hear and they can comprehend and grasp. And sometimes people also need to be able to touch things to know what it is that they're understanding. And maybe sometimes you need a combination. I gave the students, those who are in that, who are in the financial literacy as well as the entrepreneurship class, the opportunity to grow. And in those areas of incorporating, especially those 4 avenues of learning, to be able to create systems, not only for themselves, that for future organizations that you might even see going around today, that they were able to birth out of that same room, giving them the opportunity to breathe, to break out, but understanding that their ideas were not stupid, but they were an ability for them to be able to expand it and to grow into some companies that they're in today as well. And incorporating those same things from a visual standpoint, from a hearing standpoint, for actually be able to touch certain things that allow them to be able to grow. And one of the biggest things that we did in that setting in particular was that we use the game of life. And people be like, well, life, how does that apply? But the game of life is life. Like, it allowed them to take that game and expand it. Because one of the things I said is life is whatever you make it, right? So you can go throughout life. You're going to have kids. You're going to buy a car. You're going to be able to invest and do real estate and to do all these different avenues in life that it presents. But there also might be some challenges. I don't know, bankruptcy, things that happen in your life that might set you back, but also prepares you forward. One of the things that is so important when you're a mentor or you're in those places is helping people to understand that failure is not an option. And even when you fail, the best people in life, even down to the millionaires, that before they became a million or have become a millionaire, they have failed a few times to get to that million. And once they got to that million, sometimes they lost it all, but they were able, based on the fact that they lost it, they knew how quickly they could get back to the top of being a millionaire and beyond. And that's one of the things that I told them. I said, in that classroom setting, in that learning environment, to expand, they were able to grow, they were able to create different opportunities. Someone created like this whole marketing plan for the system of robotics that is actually going on today at one of their universities. A lot of people did a lot of different things within that time frame that allowed them to expand their minds, but know that it was possible for it to be done. So if you are listening to this and you're listening to me and you're like, all these things are possible, and you're saying to yourself that maybe, even in hearing this, that you feel like mentorship is something that you can actually learn from, grow from, or be a part of, look at your area of influence, because you never know how you're influencing people to be the best versions of themselves, and how you just being who you are creates an atmosphere for somebody else to follow you in the process. So that's the transformative power of mentorship, how you can actually be transforming people and not realizing that you're doing it. And it makes an impact on not only yourself, but you, because you're doing something that allows you to feel like you're contributing to your community, but also those around you, for them to be better leaders and not followers, but to also understand when to lead, but sometimes to follow in leading, and be a great servant leader to those around them, to learn how to actually be entrepreneurs or financial leaders, or to be to show up in their workplace and be the best person that they can be, even from an academic standpoint of not knowing certain things, but able to apply those skill sets of functionality, but also knowing how to visualize, how to feel things, how to apply the hearing auditory things as well too, for them to be able to know how to move forward in being who they are called to be. Because remember, we don't all learn the same, but it doesn't mean that we're not learning. And so it's able to take those skills throughout life to be able to apply it, even in your work setting, even in your job setting, even in your when you're learning in your career setting, even when you're in school, even when you're at the bus stop. You'll be surprised. All these things apply in life that allows you to continue to grow and to be the mentors that you're called to be. So that was one of the things that I've learned throughout and have been able to apply in every area of just not only for myself, but for those around me. And this allowed me, in doing that, I was able to show the complements of non-traditional learning and the power by creating intentional support systems to build learners' confidence. In doing the confidence of building them up for them, they were able to turn around and say, hey, I can do that. I can do this. It doesn't have to be how everybody else is doing it. It doesn't have to look how everybody else is doing it. It doesn't have to be how everybody else is doing it. And I said at the end of the day, even in any workshops or curriculum development that was even done in those settings, I let them be the creative minds, because at the end of the day, no matter what it is, even if I'm mentoring somebody one-on-one, or if we're in a group setting, or we're creating an opportunity for them to always feel that they can public speak on any platform that they want to be on, anything that they're doing. One-on-one is still an audience. And so if you are being able to learn the art of communication, you can be able to talk and be in front of 2 or 3 people, or a massive amount of people. And once you learn that, even on one-on-one, the same communication style that you present in your one-on-one communications can open the doors for you to be able to do that in a bigger setting, on a bigger platform or bigger stage, and allow them to be able to feel comfortable with public speaking as well, using their body language to make sure that was a part of the things that they were doing, to make sure you're engaging with the audience, just like I'm doing now. So Sarah, if you see anybody that's in the comments that said anything, please,
I did.
Don't feel free. Come on in.
Casey Williams did comment.
Okay. Was there anything that he said before I close out my small presentation?
Yes. Casey Williams said, I think one event that impacted me while I was a mentee was when I went to college. I learned from most of the classes that I do best when it's based on my special interest, which is art in general.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. Not because you just commented, but also because you were able to learn something in the process, to apply it to yourself, to be able to use it in your studies, which I say clap and bravo to you. And so I just want to wrap it up really quickly. I don't want to take away from anybody's time, but I do want to say that mentorship is at the time is the answer, and allows you to actually be a part of something great. If you don't already have one, please make sure you become a part of a workshop, one-on-one coaching. It allows you to be able to have certain things, and allows you to understand, to create the verbal skills, the written communication, and be able to move forward and being the best version of what you can be. So I'll give it back to Sarah and take it back to you.
Thank you so much, Darnella Thomas, for speaking about the importance of mentorship. So let's hear from our final panelist, Amy Wamsley. She will be giving an introduction to the techniques for cultivating mindfulness to enhance student awareness, focus, and resilience. So let's get this going.
Hi, how's everybody today? I hope you're all doing well. I don't know why I thought you'd respond to me at the moment because you're all muted. And I am having trouble bringing up my screen. Give me 1 second. I do apologize.
You're good. Take
Why is that not coming up? This is funny. Okay, here we go. Got it. All right. Well, I am Amy Walmsley, as was stated. I am honored to be speaking with you here today about something really close to my heart, and that's how we can stay present and focused and mentally well when we're just living our lives, or when we're learning, when things are getting rough. How do we just stay in the moment? So just to let you know a little bit about me, I've led HR teams for over 2 decades. I've started 2 organizations. Variegated Solutions is one of them. It is a business consulting agency, but then I also veered off of that, and I've recently started a nonprofit called Amy's Swim Venture. And basically that came out of some training that I've been doing. On my 50th birthday, I swam across the English Channel. So I swam from England to France. It's a feat that less than 4,000 people in the world have ever done by themselves. So I actually accomplished that last month. And that's basically what today's talk is about, what that taught me, what all of my life experience has really taught me, not about just pushing the limits, but how to stay present and grounded and taking things one breath at a time to reach those ultimate goals. Let's see, I changed my slides down here. Sorry. Got it. Now I know what I'm doing. Here we go. When your brain, so why was mental health important is what I want to talk about. So mental clarity is the foundation of learning. Emotional regulation supports retention and motivation, and stress and self-doubt are common. But you can manage those with tools. We all get stressed out. We all doubt ourselves. But when your brain is focused on other topics and your self-talk is negative and you're thinking about how you'd rather be doing something else, right? So you're sitting in a course, you're doing something, and you keep thinking, you let your mind wander. Maybe, I've got to pay these bills, or I've got to take care of the kids. You're not able to absorb. You're not able to reflect, and you're not able to grow. And when you're facing something intimidating, like taking your first online course, your mental wellness and your self-talk set the ceiling on your actual performance and what you're going to be able to do. So mental health is very important, and making sure that you stay engaged. There we go. So this is actually a picture of me. It was last October, and I swam under the Golden Gate Bridge. It was the first time I had ever swam under the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was incredibly terrifying at the moment. And if you don't know where that is, it's in San Francisco. The currents change there every several hours. So really at the moment that I was doing this, there was water flowing in the same time water was flowing out. And I was literally stuck in some currents. I couldn't see the people who were there to support me at one point in time. All I could see was water smacking me in the face. I knew that, of course, it's almost 400 feet depth under the Golden Gate Bridge. And so there's sharks, there's all sorts of sea life, there's whales that swim there, there's shipwrecks there. So I know all of this. And so staying focused, there's, while I'm swimming that, because I'm so small compared to everything around me, right? But I had to stay focused. I had to stay alert of what was around my surroundings, but I had to stay focused on me. And so just like swimming in the ocean and swimming across the English Channel, strength's not enough. It's about being present. It's about learning. And the only way forward is to go one stroke at a time. So yes, it can be overwhelming, but unless you focus on the now and where you are and the task at hand, one breath, one step, one lesson at a time, you're not going to move forward. So staying present under that bridge was really important to me, because what staying present does is it prevents chaos. When you aren't present, you panic. When you're not connected to yourself, you panic, and that drains energy. Imagine draining my energy out there. And how do I get back? How do I get to my destination, right? And that's the same thing that can happen to all of us when we're learning or we're in any situation. So we want to be present because we want to be able to conserve our energy to be able to move forward. So part of staying connected, right, is mindfulness. And that's what I'm talking about today. So mindfulness is the practice of bringing your full attention to the present and its moment without judgment. So mindfulness is not about becoming somebody new. It's about mentally keeping yourself engaged and in that moment. Don't focus on the steps to the end, just staying focused on the now. Mindfulness is something all of us can use to navigate stress, deadlines, and even Zoom fatigue when you're looking at a screen for too long. The more present we are, the more we see ourselves, and the more we see others more clearly who we're working with. So why does it work? When you are mindful, it increases your focus and attention span. It builds emotional resilience during those challenges, and it strengthens empathy, not only towards yourself, but you see where others around you are coming from as well. Being mindful is about awareness without judgment. When we practice that with ourselves, it becomes easier to extend that grace to others too. In my experience through leading teams, mentoring staff, and working with students, I've seen mindfulness help people slow down, stay within that discomfort, and they keep going. That's where the real learning happens. Oh, that looks kind of funny. Emotional intelligence in action, the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and those of the people around you. So that's really important when it comes to being mindful. So what exactly is emotional intelligence? When it has 5 qualities. There's motivation, and that refers to the internal drive to pursue goals and achieve results. The need for accomplishment rather than external rewards, right? Because you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it because you're going to get something out of it. And so that's the important part of the motivation there. Self-awareness. This involves recognizing and understanding your own emotions and how they affect your thoughts and behaviors, as well as how they impact others. Social skills encompasses the ability to effectively communicate, build relationships, and navigate social situations. And self-regulation is the ability to manage your emotions and impulses to adapt your responses to different situations. And then there's empathy, which I talked about earlier, which involves understanding and sharing the feelings of others, recognizing their perspectives and their motivations. When you're learning in isolation, especially online, it can leave people feeling disconnected. So what emotional intelligence can do is it can bridge that. When we tune into our thoughts and check in with ourselves and others, so your teachers, other students, those around you, learning becomes personal and it becomes much more meaningful to each of us. So what are some of the tools that can help you do that and become more mindful every day? Whether you're teaching, learning, or leading, starting with a simple emotional check-in can completely shift the energy of your entire day. Or you can even do it halfway through your day if something happens and things shift. It makes space for honesty, which makes space for growth. So asking yourself, how am I feeling right now? What do I need today? What am I learning about myself? And knowing those questions and those answers to those questions can help you know how to manage the day, not only for yourself, but in your interactions with others. For instance, if I know I am very stressed because maybe I have some really crazy things happening in my life, and somebody says something to me, knowing that I'm coming from a place of stress can allow me check myself, right? And my responses. I can take that breath and I can respond in a way that is appropriate for that environment, because we know where we're coming from. And so we can also show empathy to someone else who's maybe also having a bad day. Okay, let me go to the, oops, sorry. So here's some other daily techniques that one can use that are practical to just help you stay grounded. And every day, you know, mindfulness doesn't require 30 minutes of meditation every day. It can be one breath between an email, one moment before you click to join a meeting. You know, that's the space where you're powerful, where you can own yourself. So things like box breathing, it's very simple. You just inhale for 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. And then inhale again at a 4 count. Everything is just a 4 count. If you do that 2 or 3 times, your body will start to self-regulate and you'll come right back into your own. Connecting to your 5 senses. This is great because it reminds you of the environment in which you're in. So you can sit there and you can think, okay, what are some things I see around me? What am I hearing? What do I feel? You know, so down to right now I'm sitting here and I can hear some slight music in the background of this PowerPoint. I can hear my air conditioner, you know, I can listen to different things. What do I feel? I feel where I'm seated. I feel my feet on the floor, my hands on the desk. I feel my clothes on my skin. I feel my glasses on my face. It's bringing me back to this moment. Okay, so that can help you stay in the now. Mindful transitions, as I mentioned earlier, just taking a pause before you go into your next thing. Gathering yourself and stepping into the moment. And then also just journaling. And when you journal, it could be maybe at the beginning of the day, so it's your motto for the day. A lot of times I tell myself every morning, I will entertain no negativity today, right? And so, you know, you're not going to rain on my parade. We're going to make this happen. And so keeping those things in mind, or maybe at the end of the day, you know, what did I get out of today? What do I want to go in with tomorrow? And so just keeping that helps you stay grounded in where you are in the now. Next slide. And the last tool or thing that I would definitely recommend is trusting others. So this is a slide of me swimming around Coronado. It is an island off the coast of California. There's a giant naval base. I'm swimming there, and that is a woman who I actually had just met that day, who was helping me on an 11-mile swim around the island. It took me about 6 hours, and that huge naval ship was coming by, which was really cool. But it was pretty close, and that is very intimidating, right? And so I don't know where I am. I'm swimming around an island with someone I don't know. You know, I have a pilot boat with me. The pilot navigates for me, feeds me, keeps me safe, and they make sure I stay on course. My only job is to swim and trust them. And these are strangers sometimes. So this is a lot like learning. Your instructor is your pilot. They are not just a stranger. They are someone invested in your success, just like you. But if you resist their guidance, ignore their feedback, or stop checking in, it creates an unnecessary struggle. You need to communicate, let them know how you're doing, meet the goals they set, the assignments, participate, take notes. That's all part of the growth and moving together as a team towards the goal of you getting to that finish line. Just like swimming, you may feel alone in the water, but you are never unsupported if you stay connected to your guides. And then grace under pressure. So this is me in the English Channel. This was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and those are jellyfish right next to me swimming. I was stung in the face once. But you got to keep it together, right? If you want to get to your goal, you have to keep going. So I knew there were jellyfish, and the odds of me getting stung were very high, but I didn't worry because jellyfish had nothing to do with my goal. I was prepared for it. I had medical staff with me. At one point, I even touched one and threw it with my hand while I was swimming. It didn't sting me, thank goodness. But I didn't panic. I just noted that I had it. I was like, wow, that was kind of cool, and just kept swimming. Composure is not personality. It's literally a practice. Keeping yourself composed when needed is something you practice. People often assume grace is something you were born with, but it's not. It's something you build like endurance. When you practice returning to calm, you rewire how you respond in stressful moments. I didn't swim the English Channel because I'm fearless. I crossed it because I trained myself to mentally bring myself back to the present and focus on me in the now. I got upset. I struggled. I got frustrated with my support team. At one point, I even snapped at them. But the next time I had a chance, I apologized and said, I'm sorry. I was just in the moment, and I reconnected with my goal. And because we all had the same goal, we all wanted to get me to France. And so it was just about taking a breath and going forward. Mindfulness builds a mind that learns. Give me 1 second. Mindfulness builds a mind that learns. It's not a solution to all the problems, but it's a key that unlocks clarity, compassion, and resilience. Whether you're starting a course, changing careers, or swimming your own personal English channel, you're capable of learning, and you are already in motion. So you just have to remember to come back and breathe. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all for having me here today to let me speak. And here's my information if you do have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy Wamsley, for sharing about mindfulness and presence. Now we will go into our Q&A session. Attendees will get the chance to ask our amazing and intelligent panelists and the keynote speaker questions. So let me go ahead and give the floor to the other moderators, Yosef, Ramadan, and Niwachi Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yusuf, your co-moderator for today's event. I will make sure all your questions are answered for today and help everyone get the most out of our webinar. Let's start with a question from the chat by EPZM. Using the African context with specific focus to those in underserved areas who are not always easily exposed to mentors or mentorship, what solutions would you suggest in order for them to actually maximize mentorship benefits? That is a question for you, Darnell. Please come on stage.
Okay. Can you see me? Can you hear me? All right. Hi, everybody. Could you repeat that question? Because I couldn't understand the question, and I want to make sure that I answer effectively.
So there are some areas
it was
in
kind of
Africa who are underserved, who doesn't always have exposed mentorship programs or mentors. So how can you maximize your benefit from the mentorship or from mentors that are existing?
Thank you, first of all, for asking me the question. And basically, it's anybody in your community that you pretty much look up to, that you can feel that you can glean from or get information from. Mentorship doesn't have to be traditional, where you actually go into whether a setting or pay for somebody to do that in like a long form or term. Let's say they usually have professional career sets up. And I believe that they've set up things here at, they've set up things here as well at ADollarClass to be able to do that as well. But a lot of times the mentors just in your community, those you look up to and who you admire, you'll be surprised how much you can learn from them by being around them, or even just being in the atmosphere of them. And then how you can informally or formally be a part of what they're doing. There's also people who are on YouTube who you can learn from afar, that you can glean from in what it is that they're saying. And if you have any career of interest or things that you're interested in, a lot of times they're giving a lot of great input and advice. in areas of how to be confident. But the most important thing is to just be yourself, and understanding that even though you're learning this information from others to how to be a better individual, you yourself is an amazing individual and be able to learn that from others.
All right. Thank you very much, Danielle. Let's move on to another question that our viewers might be wondering for our keynote speaker, Howard Berg. So, Mr. Howard, you talk about self-paced learning. How can someone stay motivated and consistent without the old and traditional classroom structure?
Well, we did our whole program online. All our students worked online. So what they did is we sent all our students worked on learning, not years. You didn't go a year for first grade and second grade and third grade. You went on understanding and accomplishment. Schools are based on time. So you have kids in 12th grade who can't read, write, and count because they got D's, they moved on to the next level and they still hadn't developed competency at the lower levels. We only moved them forward when they got an A, and we never gave them the answer. We gave them clues and we made them think and we made them develop their own understanding. And they only got the next lesson when they aced the one they were on. You don't want a doctor who got a D in surgery or a pilot who got a D in landings. There's no D's in learning. There's no C's and there's no B's. You either know the information or you don't know the information. And we don't move people to the next lesson based on their age or how long they've been in that. We move them forward by their understanding. We had a 10-year-old do high school biology in 1 week, the whole thing. I said, what did he learn? Well, 300 essays. We only had essay tests because you can't fake an essay. You have to be able to justify your answers. Explain the genetic code and how it works. What's a mitochondria? 300 essays like that, got 2 wrong. He's finished with high school biology at 10. The other thing we did is we trained students on how to mentor each other. In the one schoolhouse in the Old West, where they went from K to 12, older students mentored younger students. And students are more receptive to mentoring from fellow students. They feel less intimidated because there's a camaraderie amongst them. So our students learn to help each other. And then we trained the instructors on brain-based learning. We didn't teach any content to any student until they learned how to study, learn, remember, develop emotional intelligence, learn how to speed read, know what to look for, know what to do when they were confused and how to analyze it and make sense of it. Then we taught content. No schools are doing that. They're giving them content. They have no idea what they did wrong. They don't know how to fix it. And then they make the child feel insecure and inability of lacking learning when you never taught them how to learn in the first place. So it isn't the students that fails, it's the system that's failing to teach them learning skills. And that's the first thing we should teach before they even learn how to read, how to understand, how to learn how to read, and remember what they're learning. And so by learning all of those skills first, working with each other, and having a teacher mentor the ones who need the help, and let the students who are able to self-learn, self-guided erudition, fly as fast as they can go, everyone benefits, and students are able to go quickly through subjects they understand and have the support and help when they need it. And that's how we did it.
These are some wise words, Mr. Howard. Thank you very much for sharing this information with you. Another question that our viewers has been wondering for our speaker, Eric Thomas. So, Mr. Eric, you talked about business and you talked about how to start a business, how to conquer the market, how to be able to do or take your own path. But how does one beat the fear of taking their own path in business or sales or whatever field they would like to be going through? That is a question for our speaker, Eric Thomas.
Can you repeat that again? I'm not sure he's here.
So the question is, how does one beat the fear of taking their own path in business or sales or the career they're willing to pursue?
You said how was that is not clear. Can you make it clear from the beginning, please?
Yeah, for Eric Thomas.
Yeah, yeah. Every Thomas is not here, so I just want to respond to that for the sake
Oh,
of our audience. So can you repeat that again, please?
okay. So how does one, how does someone beat the fear of taking their own path in business or sales or the career they are trying to pursue?
All right. So I just want to respond. Eric was supposed to be here. I think he had some difficulties. So regarding the question for our audience, fear is inevitable. So it comes even in business. I don't think in business is more. There's a lot of risk because there's a lot of uncertainty, restrictions, many things happening. So for someone who want to go into business, for that our audience who is asking that question, so you have to know that be in business, fear is part of it. So you have to take it upon yourself that okay, this is what I'm doing. But I think for you to walk around that, you want to have a mentor. If you have someone who you could look up to, just like what Daniel talked about. If you have someone who you could look up to, so when the event becomes so tough, you can reach out to your mentor. This is what I'm going through, and your mentor can always share some of his own experience with you because whatever journey you want to go into, someone has gone through that journey before. So that helps a lot rather than just trying to figure it out within yourself. So you can always reach out to someone who have done something similar to that, and that can help you to get back to your business.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Osaretin, for this information. I'm going to move to my friend here, the one and only Elizabeth, to continue taking your questions and make sure all of them are answered. Please come to the stage, Elizabeth.
Hi everyone, my name is Wachi Elizabeth. This question is for Daniel Thomas. It says, from eBay's Destiny, it says, when you talk about redefining education pathways, how can communities with cultural, technological, and regulatory barriers, as well as skills gap, get integrated into these new pathways?
Redefining what it is for education is, especially when it comes to applying technology into what's happening now, is just being informed. A lot of the times we don't necessarily know what's going on in the area of interest that we want or we want to pursue, and or what's going on in that particular field. And it's very important that we educate ourselves so that we can integrate what is necessarily from the perspective of what we know, from what is actually happening to what is growing and to what's happening, especially in education, especially with AI. I believe someone spoke about that a little bit briefly, as well as it's bridging gaps to the pathways of things we might have had to do a little bit harder or a little bit more challenging, and allowing us to know it in a different way that opens a door within our brains to be able to know how to bridge those gaps together. And if I did not answer your question entirely, please don't hesitate to either expand or ask another comment in the chat so that I believe it's Elizabeth can be able to present the question and or restate it again.
Thank you so much, Thomas. The next question, it's for Amy Wamsley. It says, did swimming become an effective tool for being able to implement life lessons you learned from those experiences?
Thank you for your question. Yes, it has in many different ways. Over the last year, I actually have lost both of my parents and continued to train while all of that was taking place. And you know, that's where the mindfulness really has come in. It is a place where I could go into my own space. I could do my own meditation. I could do my own work. But it reminded me that no matter what was happening and no matter the difficult and the challenges that I had to overcome, I had a goal at the end. And my parents would want me to continue with that goal. And so there were moments where I was swimming with goggles filled with tears. But you just keep going and you just keep pursuing to get to where you need to be. There were days where I woke up and I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to go, but I knew I had to because this was a dream of mine since I was 12 years old, actually. And so I continued to just get up and go. And it didn't matter if there were days where I would pull into the parking lot and it would just even walking into the pool was hard. You know, I was already there and I was like, I'd rather just go home today. And I made myself get out of my car and just get in that water. And some days it was great and I'd stay for 3, 4, 6 hours. Some days it might be 5 minutes, but the fact that I got myself there was the point. And that's how life is. And I gave myself grace for that. And that's important. I gave myself grace as, today wasn't a great day. I showed up, I swam for 15 minutes and I came home. But you know what? I showed up. And showing up for yourself is the most important thing you can do in life. It is the thing that is going to get you forward. So, did swimming help me? It helped. That's just one example of how swimming and pursuing this has really helped me to just continue to show up for myself and for the people around me.
Thank you so much for that lovely answer. Without no further questions, so I'll be handing it over to the convener, Mr. Osaretin.
All right, thank you very much for that, Elizabeth. We still have some time. We still have about 20 minutes. So if we have more questions, we want to kind of clarify. So our audience who are joining on the event, I think, I don't know if the question has been answered, Casey, that's been addressed already?
Yes, that was the last question.
Okay. Well, I did have a question for Molina, and I don't know if she can hear me. Are you there, Molina? Okay. Okay, I think the question I have for her, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah. So the question I have for you is this: for someone who is trying to go into a career, I know you talked about your profession in human resource. Why is it so difficult for people to get into the workforce today?
It's because on certain occasions I see people come in for jobs with sort of the wrong expectation. I think people already count themselves out before they even get to the interview process or the onboarding process, which causes them to show up not entirely. So I definitely think it's important to give yourself a little grace, like Amy spoke about, and I think Darnell spoke about it as well, giving yourself a little grace and knowing that you can show up for yourself wholly and completely, especially in those situations.
Okay, just a follow-up to that question I have. It seems most jobs that you apply for is not being assessed by AI. To the extent that it doesn't give people a chance. So if you don't have the right keywords and all of that, the AI or the bots may not even accept those persons. So is it that is what the workforce is now, or how can someone move around that? Because getting a job is so competitive. So how can someone move around the AI using the keywords and all of that?
So in my experience, I know that we have real people reviewing applications and things, but I think the big part is like the actual platforms that we post on now, like the Indeed, the ZipRecruiter, that type of thing. That actually filters out through that keyword process. My suggestion to like go around that would probably be always keep your resume up to date, especially in the career field that you want to go in. Using all of your skills, especially on the resume, and being very focused. I know some resumes that I've seen is like you've worked at McDonald's now and then you're suddenly at an IT company, but there's no type of in between. So when an employer looks at your resume, it's kind of questionable, which pushes them to use those AI services. So definitely just keep your resume just up to date.
So, like, keeping the resume up to date, is it like it has to be personalized to every job position? Because we've seen a lot of cases where people they have experience in this area, but because of how competitive the business is, and they have to update their resume all the time. So, is it
Right.
advisable to just stick to a particular area, or you have to keep on updating? Because sometimes it can be so frustrating when submitting an application. You have to update it according to the specification of the job and all of that. So, what we advise our audience who are struggling with that situation where they have to update their resume all the time, or they should just stick to a particular career and
Career field, yeah, because if you
yeah.
seem a little too scattered, that is like sort of like a turnoff when it comes to an employer looking at your application. So definitely find your place and try to stick to it, or just even if you're not there yet. I was once at a point that I couldn't even imagine myself to be where I am today, but I applied for the jobs that would bring me and place me in the right situation and the right career path. So definitely continue to grow yourself in the career path that you want to take, and keep your resume to reflect that. Keep a reflection of that on your resume.
All right, thank you very much for that. Elizabeth, over to you.
This question is also for you, Molina. It says from Bemisola, it says, how do someone stay motivated when progress is invisible?
Thank you so much for that question. This is something that I speak a lot about in my book. Being in multiple situations where you feel like the steps that you take are not even doing a change. I would definitely say maybe keep a list to yourself or celebrate the small wins that you have. Sometimes that's getting up and sending an email. Sometimes that's making a call or making that first step towards what you want to do. And even if that was that one step, you have to celebrate that as if it was one of the most gigantic steps you could have taken. Once you have that mindset of no matter what I do, even if I take that step, it's still a step in the right direction, I feel like your progress becomes visible not only to you, but to everyone around you. And I hope that answered that question.
Okay, one more question. This goes to Daniel Thomas. It's from Ibezim Destiny. It says, thank you for your answer with regard to AI emergence in education, but the cultural nuances was not answered.
Is this for can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I get this segment we talk about. How can culture, technology, and regular skills get integrated into the new path? So you were asking more. So could you say yes or no to this part? Is this a part that you wanted to answer? How can communities with culture, technological and regulatory barriers as well as skills gap get integrated into this new pathways? Is that the part that you said I kind of missed? Or is it the redefining part, the culture? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. With that, to be honest, I think it's always a work in progress in that regards, because depending on where you are located and what the barriers are, will determine what can be done. And I don't know if that makes sense. And that might not be a clear-cut answer to what you're looking for. But even for me, for example, I'm just going to give where I'm from. My family is from Jamaica. I'm looking this way. I should probably look this way. My family is from Jamaica, and honestly, a lot of the barriers to entries that we have is and the issues and struggles that we have in regards to that has to be on a specific parish by parish basis, even though it's a huge country. Well, it's a small country, but there's different places in there, and everything is applied based on that particular area. So even when it goes into breaking into the new pathways of even trying to apply auditory, systematic of different things like that, from hearing to visual, to be able to apply those into a different way of education and the pathways in technology, is figuring out what works best in that area and going to figure out how you can connect to those who are in that area, because we could be in different parts of the state. Like for instance, if you're in the United States, what works in Florida will not work in New York. The bases may be the same, but the connectivity to the people in that area is going to be a little challenging. So in order for you to do that, you have to connect to those around you, but understanding what makes sense in that area to be able to expand, to maybe integrate, to actually push forward into barriers that are stopping it from being taken in. So if you have a new learning way of doing something, in regards to how you view something to the world. I'll just use that as an example. Being able to give somebody that same perspective, perspective of what it is that you see and how you see it can be different based on how it is that they're learning it and what that looks like, and being able to relate it to their current surroundings to break into that area so that they can firmly understand what you're trying to say. And Destiny, please let me know if that answered it or you needed more clarification.
Yusuf, do you want to take other questions?
Yeah, I can take the last question that has been asked here by Yassine. The question says, in a fast-paced digital world, how can students stay mindful and avoid burnout? I believe that's a question for you, Mrs. Amy.
There I am. Okay. In a fast-paced digital world, how can students stay mindful and avoid burnout? Put down your phone. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but I mean, that's what it is. Unplug. Go for a swim. Stick your head in the water. Go for a walk. Go out in nature. You know. Sorry, somebody's. Whatever that is, I can hear myself, but that's really the way to do it. You can't. You need to focus, right? They're good. You know, there's so much going on in the world today. There's so much information coming at you incredibly fast. There was a book I read once, and it was called "Thank You for Being Late," and it was literally about someone who was getting ready to go into a meeting, and how those moments of when you're waiting for your next meeting, when you're doing things, when you're in the shower, you know, these are moments when you can connect back to yourself, and when sometimes you have your greatest ideas because you don't have those outside interferences. You're not worried about what's going on. Today's digital world is fast paced. When new products come out, it actually can take the human brain 5 years to really learn every single nuance about that technology. But as we all know, something new is coming out within 6 months. So they're throwing things at us to the point where we're never going to know everything. Your brain's not. And so you have to acknowledge, I'm never going to know everything, you know, and being happy and content in the world in which you're in, but knowing what you need to know is important. So blocking out that noise, you know, focusing on what's important and moving forward, and then simply unplugging, making sure you get the sleep you need. It's all very important to take care of you mentally. I hope that helped.
Yeah, that helped. Thank you very much for this, Amy. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, last question by Mary. How can someone accelerate her learning with ADHD? That is for you, Howard. Yeah.
Okay. The ADHD is not an issue. Most of them are exceptionally intelligent, but they need to have a lot of stimulation. The approach we had is first we teach them how to know what to look for, so they aren't wasting time learning things that are a waste of time. Then we taught them how to read 2 to 4 times faster, so they were able to find what they needed quicker. Then we taught them how to study and analyze what they found to make sense of it. Then we taught them how to remember and recall the information when they needed to use it. And then we taught them how to get in the right state. And that's the key area. I think some of the things I've been hearing is people do not need jobs. You should be building your own business. There is no more job security. The only job security you'll have is between your ears, your ability to learn. When you could read 2 to 4 times faster, had an 84-year-old read 3 books in 3 hours and retain it. So you get 10 books on a subject that you want to do. The question is, ask the right questions. Your brain gives you the answer to the question you ask. If you say, why am I a loser? You'll find out why you're a loser. If you ask, how can I be successful? It'll tell you how to be successful. Ask it what would be the best type of field for you to be in. And then when you get the answer, get 10 books by 10 people doing what you dream of doing, who are doing it successfully, and follow the pattern they're using and replicate it. And you should get the same results if you're doing what other people are doing, then make it work. And then you'll have the success you're looking for. My grandson at 18 started a power washing company, was getting $5,000 on a weekend at 18. If an 18-year-old can make $5,000 on a weekend, and my students made $93,000 in a year raising money for Down syndrome, there is no reason why an adult with average intelligence isn't be able to match those performances by learning the secrets of learning and asking the right questions. And the single best question you could ask is, what's the next best thing I can do now? And when you ask that question, your brain looks at where you are and it looks at where you want to be instead and starts building the bridge. And then you get the books and the data that'll help you build that bridge and fulfill your dreams. People need to stop looking for other people to make them successful. The only thing businesses do is make money at your expense. Whatever it is they pay you, they're making more money than they're paying you. And so you're never going to make the value of your work. They give you $100,000, you made $300,000. They give you $40,000, you made $100,000. A company that doesn't make more money than what they're paying you goes out of business. So it's time for you to start thinking about how can you do this on your own, run your own companies, be your own boss, and it's not that hard. Look at people doing it. They're no smarter than you are. The only thing they did differently, they asked better questions, and they found the answers, and it comes from learning and understanding. And you don't have to worry about fear. When you know how to control your mind, when you know how to control your thoughts, you realize that all the problems you created were created by the wrong thinking. And all the problems that you want will go away because of right thinking. You can't be afraid or depressed when you're thinking about how happy and successful you are and how positively you are moving in the right direction. It's about state of mind and controlling the state of mind by asking the right questions and focusing on the state you want to create instead of on the state you're trying to run away from. And if you follow these simple ideas I'm giving you, you'll see that you can do the same thing an 18-year-old did and an 11-year-old did. There is no reason why an 11-year-old's making $93,000 a year and you need a job. Start thinking about what you can do to take over your own life and what you need to know to accomplish it. And you can do that. Try my book. It's free. howebook.fun will get you started. There's no charge. And I hope that this helped you to move in the direction you need. We live in a time of entrepreneurship. AI is going to get rid of 30% of all white-collar jobs in the next 10 years. So if you're studying to be a reporter or a whole lot of other things, you're wasting your time because those jobs are going to disappear. The only people who are going to be successful in the future are people who can do it on their own and learn how to think and learn and perform at the level they're capable of instead of waiting for someone else to make it work for them. That's the solution, learning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Howard. These are some great advice for anyone here in this generation, and I hope everyone follows them. Now, let's hand it to Sarah to round up the event and share with us some final thoughts. Please go ahead, Sarah.
Well, thank you. I want to once again thank all of our amazing speakers today, Howard Berg, Eric Thomas, Lilina Molina, Darlene Thomas, and Amy Wemsley. You guys shared so much, we learned so much today, and I appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedules to share with us. And thank you to everyone who joined this webinar and taking time out of your lives to learn more about alternative learning. And if you have any other questions for our speakers, you can use the event website and reach out to our incredible speakers through their social media handles. I'll just hand it over to the convener to close off the webinar.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you very much, Yusuf, Elizabeth. And thank you very much, our incredible speakers, Berg, Molina, Hamid, Eric Thomas, and also Danle for joining on today's alternative learning. I think it has been a great experience. The questions have been answered by our speakers. So I want to inform our audience who can always join our program. We have a similar program coming up in August, also in September, till the end of the year. So we're going to have more incredible speakers joining on the platform talking about alternative learning, because we've seen that the K-12 form of learning have not been so effective. So we need to think of other ways of learning, like mentorship and all of that. So, but for now, do have a great day and stay blessed.